Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. Dave, my connection holding up okay?
It's doing okay right now.
Someone is trolling the shit out of Carly Fiorina, and I think it's wonderful. She neglected to register the domain carlyfiorina.org, and someone did it very quickly. And they made a very simple website. What they did was they said that it just addresses the layoffs by Carly Fiorina at Hewlett-Packard. And there's an unhappy face for every person she laid off. And then all the way at the bottom, there is a quote from Carly Fiorina, because when she was asked if she would have handled the layoffs differently in an interview with Fortune in 2005, she said, "I would have done them all faster." And I just find this to be an interesting trolling effort. At the same time, why was this website not registered? I mean, isn't this a lack of foresight? Isn't this kind of negligent to not realize that this is a domain name that you need to register?
Yeah, probably a costly oversight. And now she kind of her campaign has to figure out, okay, we could try to go after and buy the domain or try to get it shut down, but that might end up giving it even more attention. Or maybe we're better off just ignoring it altogether, never addressing it, never doing anything about it. The topic of layoffs is obviously part of her past, so ultimately, whether it's going to come up or not is not going to be dictated by this website existing, right? So strategically, she's maybe almost better off just ignoring it, although the website has been getting a bunch of media attention.
Yeah, it is a wonderful thing. I think that, I'm not really sure what is going to happen with her. I'm not really sure how competent she will be during those primary debates. Do you think that she will be, that she will do well, that she will look good during those debates?
Well, let's wait and see if she even makes it to that point, right? Depending on fundraising, she may end up being gone before the Republican primary debates even get going. I think that she will come off kind of like a Mitt Romney in the debates, very much pro-business and talking about taxes and the economy, but not very skilled when it comes to foreign policy and sort of just throwing out talking points on social issues. That's my sense of how she would do as a debater.
I think she should take some notes from the last Republican primary debates and take a note from Herman Cain. Do not just say that once you become elected, you will put together a plan. Right. You got to have a plan beforehand, I think.
Yeah, I forgot about Herman Cain. I would love it if he came back.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he learned the hard way that he was a joke. But it would be quite funny if he did come back. The pizza party, right? That would be his party.
That would be huge.
It would be. Let's talk about France. The French Parliament just approved a bill that is scaring a lot of people. It's a surveillance bill aimed at monitoring phone calls and emails of suspected terrorists. So this bill was, of course, introduced after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, and it's coming under a lot of fire. But a lot of people comparing it to the Patriot Act, and of course, there are many people in Parliament saying this is nothing like the Patriot Act. But I guess it's not as how should I say comprehensive as the Patriot Act, or perhaps as it seems to be a bit on a smaller scale. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, it is a little bit smaller scale, but the other thing is that based on, I looked at a couple of different polls from within France about this. On the one hand, it did not seem that a majority of French citizens were against this. So I remember back after 9/11, the American public was basically willing to accept anything that George W. Bush and members of Congress and the Senate wanted to pass. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of that sort of blowback that happens after there is an attack on your soil. And at the same time, I saw another poll, and I don't, well, let me say it a different way. I saw an opinion piece which cited a poll that I have not independently verified, which said that a lot of French people also didn't fully understand what was in this surveillance bill. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see in 6 or 12 months what the views of the French are on this surveillance bill.
Yeah, it's a doozy, but they are adamant that this is not a French Patriot Act. I guess the closest comparison would be to the NSA's PRISM program, collecting metadata from Google and Microsoft and things like that.
Is this sort of like a win for terrorists when they're able to do something that causes a country to upend the privacy of its citizens?
Well, yeah. I mean, you would think that a bill like this is only written up out of fear, and if you are afraid, then that's terrorism. That's textbook terrorism. If they have made you afraid, they have won. But can we say that this type of legislation will be meaningless? That it will have no effect? That they won't catch any terrorists who are plotting?
I guess it
No.
has a chance. It has a chance
Right.
of being effective, but it's falling into a lot of the same pitfalls that some of the American legislation falls into. It's aimed at monitoring the phone calls and emails of suspected terrorists. How is someone defined as a suspected terrorist? What actions or activities? Can someone contest that designation? Would they even know if they've been designated in that way, right? All of the exact same questions. And what's interesting is that the French know how this has gone in the United States, and they still chose to do something like this. So a lot of interesting elements here.
Yeah. So we will see if it is effective. I mean, it certainly could be. So I'm not going to say that it is completely pointless, but I think it is clear that the terrorists, on some level, have won and have made people afraid in France. And so this is what happens. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see if it gets shot down. We haven't talked about Iran in a while, and maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But I guess devil-worshipping haircuts, devil-worshipping hairstyles are now forbidden. Now, this is a decree from the head of Iran's Barbers Union. So this article makes it seem to me like this man is the one who actually decides this. The head of the Barbers Union somehow is the guy who determines what haircuts are illegal in the country. Now, I would think it would be some religious figure who would make this determination. But I guess the head of Iran's Barbers Union has a lot of pull. Any shop that cuts hair in the devil-worshipping style will be harshly dealt with and their license revoked. And because this violates the Islamic system's regulations. Now, how have they determined what a devil-worshipping hairstyle is? Is that written somewhere in the Quran?
I wish I knew. I did a little bit of Googling around about it. It doesn't seem to be too specific. This kind of reminds me of, remember when Kim Jong-un and in North Korea, they passed some law that only certain haircuts, including the Kim Jong-un haircut, are allowed?
Yes, I was just going to bring that up. That's how tight things are over there. Men can only have certain haircuts. I believe the same applies to women over there, and it's incredible. And it seems like this is just there is no clear-cut guideline on what a devil-worshipping haircut is. So you'd better just do your best to look like everyone else, because they'll go after you and they'll go after the barber as well.
Did your dad ever have an issue with his haircuts before he moved out of Iran to the U.S.?
No, I don't think so. He moved to the U.S. before the Shah was deposed, and things were progressing over there at that time, and they have since regressed because of religion. So, I think when my dad was there, women were wearing bikinis and things like that.
Hey, Louis, you know what I realized I don't know about your dad's leaving Iran? Did his brother leave? Did they leave together?
They did not. My dad left first, and his brother left afterwards. Yep. And I guess it was it was easier for my dad, but I remember my uncle telling me that he had to spend like a month in Istanbul while making that transition. And yeah, it was. So I think that my uncle left during a more tumultuous time. But anyway, so I guess don't go to Iran if you do not have what would be considered a normal haircut as well. I guess usually the barbershops who do not have a license are the ones that are giving spiky hairdos and devil worshipping nonsense. Crazy stuff. It's a shame what's happened over there.
Hey, can I do a quick update about people have been emailing in saying, hey, you made this big announcement last week, but like what's happened since? What has been the response? So I'll just give a quick update. So several people have gotten in touch after our big announcement that we're going to be moving the show to Boston and hopefully expanding content and so many other things. A bunch of people, a handful of people got in touch and said they just want to make a donation right now to help with the process and start putting some money. We've already created like a separate 2016 bank account, which is already, the idea is to start putting money away for the expansion of 2016. We already have received a couple donations and a few more people have gotten in touch. We've gotten some ideas for the eventual fundraiser that we're going to be doing. One interesting idea was, I just got it today actually from Jamie. Jamie said that Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman, when they do fundraisers for Free Speech TV, they offer, it's like $2,000 or $2,500, dinner for two, where you just have to get yourself to wherever their show is, and then they will take you out to eat, you and one other person out to eat. That's an interesting idea. And with the Boston thing, with Lewis and I being closer, that's actually a possibility. So every time we get like an idea for the fundraiser, I've been making a note of it, Lewis. So we're growing the list of possibilities for premiums and things like that. And then on the investment side, incredibly, 9 people have already gotten in touch saying they want to explore being investors in the show. We've gotten a couple of sort of conditional verbal commitments even on investment money. So a lot of things have happened. It's just super exciting, Lewis, everything that's going on. Until we have the money in the bank and the expansion happens, nothing is guaranteed, obviously. But the first 5 days have been very strong.
Yeah, it's a good sign. I think things are going well so far. I'm optimistic, and I think that dinner thing is a good idea. Not that anyone would want to go out to dinner with us. It could be, what if someone who hates us, what if it's one of the Hatriots who spends that just to go out to dinner with us and then murder us?
Yeah, that's a question, but, it would be a public place, so hopefully that wouldn't happen.
All right. It's ridiculous, I know, but it's just, these thoughts, they go through my head, unfortunately. A lot of Hatriots out there. You got to be careful.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.